Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee, Clarity, and Conversations with Kesha and Terra. From the West Coast to the Gulf Coast, we're coming to you live from coast to coast.
Come on. My name is Kesha, and I am chiming in from the West Coast.
My name is Terra, and I'm coming from the Gulf Coast, and we are so glad that all of you are joining us today. So go ahead and do me a favor and drop in the chat and let us know where you're watching us from.
Please. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on the post notifications where the bell is at so you can join the CCC community. And as always, we shout out our new subscribers. So we want to be able to shout you out and keep you up to date on our next show.
Absolutely. And listen, you got to grab your coffee or grab your tea because it's time for some conversations and clarity.
Come on, you already know. And I'm so excited about this. And today, shameless plug, I'm repping the NAN mug, NAN Sacramento. And it's founded from the Reverend Al Sharpton. It's his organization for activism and justice. And I work for the Sacramento chapter. And I'm just so excited. In lieu of everything that is going on, this is my way to show the movement. The focus is to help people go from protest to politics and really affect change in a great way. So I'm repping. What about you? What mug you got today?
That's so awesome. I actually have my Put in Work mug. I got this from Jamal Miller and Media Group, Profit and Purpose Academy. They were very instrumental in helping me to launch Writers Unblock Academy. And so shout out to them, my Profit and Purpose team, my Scale Your School team, just really phenomenal people, and just the information was great. Now, Kesha, look, I'm ready to jump into today's topic. I'm so excited about it. We're talking about going from confusion to clarity. And as we learn how we can confront confusion, and then we can find clarity.
Yeah.
And so, I just really want to jump in just first and foremost, because I always like to define the terms so that I know where I'm coming from. And so I looked up the definition for confusion and dictionary.com, and it talks about it being a lack of understanding or uncertainty. It also can be defined as a situation or panic or breakdown of order. What's your definition of confusion, Kesha?
I love the definition because it's straight to the point. But when I think about confusion, it's just like being in a room, no lights on, just left in the dark. And so I'm excited about this topic because I really feel like it's going to turn on some lights in some rooms that's been dark. And come on, you see where I was going with that? And really bring some illumination and clarity, because that's what we're here for, to some situations where, that people have just been left out in the dark. So I'm ready. It's on you. Let's jump into it.
I love it, Kesha. Come on, turn on the lights. Let's get some clarity. Look, we just came out of a pandemic or came through a pandemic, and it really caused a lot of lights to be turned off. It caused a lot of disorder in a lot of our lives. And as a coach to various people in different stages of their lives, as a consultant to organizations and ministries, I have found that there's so many people now that has a sense of confusion. And there's organizations that have changed. Your ministries don't look the same. Some people started new careers, relationships changed, some for the good, some for the bad. It was so many changes that happened. And now, many people are feeling so unclear about what to do next. And one of life's major struggle is like just trying to discover your purpose, like trying to find your place in this world. And many of you may be feeling the same, uncertain, confused, like where do I fit into all of this? And you may have experienced at some points in your lives where you were just so unclear that you just really felt like you were out there by yourself. But let me just encourage you today that you're not alone.
true.
At some point in all of our lives, we have experienced some moments of uncertainty. It's a natural part of the human process, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a roadblock. So, when you're confused, it seems like you're stuck in this endless loop of just going nowhere. Like Kesha, like you said, you're in this room with the lights turned off and you're trying to feel your way through the room without falling over, without tripping over furniture. And to make matters worse, there's forces around us that's constantly encouraging us to define our purpose based on what this person says, what society deems as valuable, or what society deems as successful. And unfortunately, what that means is a lot of people end up getting lost trying to find their place, and they don't really know where to go to really find that true peace, to really find that true joy, to really find their purpose. And we oftentimes second guess ourselves, succumbing to these outside pressures that lead us in a way that's distant from what our true destiny and fulfillment really is. And so I believe that we all have a purpose for being born. I believe even when we were formed in our mother's womb, there was a purpose that was on our lives. And there's an enemy that is trying to fight against us from finding out what that purpose is. And so I just really wanted to discuss quickly 3 main reasons for confusion. And I'm going to use the PPP. Okay. Now I know I just got finished talking about the pandemic and all. I'm not talking about the PPP loan, but I'm talking about your past, your perception of who you are, and your practical knowledge. And so, confusion can stem from past experiences, because these are the things that really shape the beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about what we believe that we actually can do. It shapes what we believe in, period. And, you may find yourself trapped in this prison of your own thoughts, of your own self-limiting beliefs, and it's limiting you from fulfilling your life's purpose. And these false stories that we become entrenched, that's in our mind, it causes us to be stuck in a loop of confusion and self-doubt. And listen, we all on a journey.
Come on.
This is a journey. When you find yourself focusing on your past instead of embracing your present and looking forward to your future, what is it going to do? It's going to lead you to a dead-end destination called confusion.
Yeah.
And sometimes, there's this thing that I heard my dad say a while back, and I'm just going to paraphrase it. But he said, failure is not an option. And then he went on to say that you were created to win. You learn how to fail.
Come on.
And we were not born to fail. It's hard when experiences take us away from our true path. But the truth of the matter is, failure is merely just lessons about how not to do something. Okay? It doesn't have to define you. It does not have to define your destiny, because you were created to win. You were created to be more than a conqueror. You were created to be a champion. Kesha, listen. These lessons that present themselves to us, we have to learn how we can redirect our focus and create a roadmap for where we are going. All right. And so now the next P, I said perception of who you are, your own perception. This is another place where confusion can come in. Imposter syndrome. That's something that a lot of people talk about. Imposter syndrome occurs when you have difficulty believing that you deserve success. You have difficult believing that you deserve the recognition, because you feel like you just don't measure up, and you're constantly trying to prove yourself, not only to other people, but sometimes to yourself. And even sometimes when you have achieved success through your own hard work and dedication. Imposter syndrome is like a deceitful shadow that lurks in our mind. It causes us to doubt our abilities. It causes us to second guess our decisions. And ultimately, it diminishes our sense of purpose. And many times it creeps up on us in helpless moments, and we begin to feel overwhelmed and frustrated and uncertain of what the direction we need to head in. And you'll know that you're experiencing imposter syndrome if you feel like you your accomplishments or your achievements are insignificant, or you feel inferior to others, and many times you feel completely confused about your purpose because
Talk
you
about it.
constantly are asking yourself, am I good enough? Am I smart
Mm-hmm.
enough? Do I
Mm-hmm.
deserve this?
Yeah.
Now, the last P in the PPP is your practical knowledge. Listen, sometimes we just don't know enough.
That's
And it
right.
leads us to being confused. Without the necessary knowledge base, you'll find yourself struggling to make decisions or forming your own opinions about something that you need to form an opinion, an educated opinion on.
Yeah.
You know, when there's a lack of knowledge, confusion can easily rise. You find yourself imprisoned by the limitations of your knowledge and unsure of what next steps that you need to take. So without having the practical knowledge that you need, it can be impossible for you to determine what you should devote your time to, what you should devote your energy towards, leading you into a cycle of unfulfilling activities without any tangible results. And so a lack of practical knowledge can be devastating for any attempts for you to achieve any type of personal or business growth. You know, and while I'm talking about what confusion is and defining all of that, understanding where this confusion comes from, it will help us to provide a perspective into why we feel
Mm-hmm.
lost at times. And
True.
it's going to offer us opportunity for growth instead of stagnation in life. Okay, so now, Kesha, what I want you to do, I want you to share with us just a few things about how confusion can affect us.
Well, I'm all ready for this. But one of the things that I want to point out is when you talked about how confusion really affects our purpose. For those of you that's your first, second, third time watching us, we have a video that we did on purpose. So check it out on our YouTube page. And I think it'll be really beneficial. So I want to make sure that I, put that into the message. But the thing is we don't realize how much confusion affects us. So first, I want to talk about how it affects the body. So when we look at the body, in my research, I was finding that confusion, it affects our memory. We have difficulty carrying out tasks. We have difficulty with being attentive and paying attention. We can be unclear in our speech. It can be hard to follow a conversation. And what trips me out about that, I have a friend that sometimes I'm talking and I'm saying things and they're like, yeah, yeah. And I said, you don't even know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm doing? And then they'll admit it. And the thing is sometimes we don't just take time to get clarity and we just stay confused. And this confusion affects because now we can't have a clear conversation. We can't have an effective conversation because you have no understanding. You're in the dark on what I'm talking about. I'm gonna keep bringing that dark and light out because I'm trying to have a conversation with you. I'm trying to get advice or hear something or just converse with you. And if you don't know where I'm coming from, then how do we go from there? You don't have to agree, but we have to have understanding. And so I want to just, really point out how it affects us. And this is our body. And then what we learn is that if you don't try to use some of the tools that we're going to discuss later on, and use things like I find online or on Google Play, and what is that, iPhone, the Amazon, whichever one, you can find games to help with your brain. And if you don't keep using and helping our brain to stay constant and learning, and we just get in moments where we're confused and we stay confused, it can cause long-term damage. It can cause a permanent condition.
Wow.
So in other words, being in the dark too long can cause me from being in the dark to going blind. Woo! Being in the dark too long, allowing myself to walk in confusion, not only does it affect that I can't see where I'm going, can't see what I'm doing, it's messing up my body, it's messing up my focus and my concentration, all that. We'll get into that. But on top of that, it can permanently affect me. Okay, like that's big. That's big. And another thing that I want to point out, there are 8 fatal F's to confusion. Number one, 8 fatal F's. We're going to talk about these fatal F's. But why are they fatal? Because they're detrimental. Number one, we already said focus. I lose focus when I'm confused. I can't be focused on anything that I'm not clear about. I can't be committed to anything I don't have an understanding about. And so we have to be careful. We have to realize that confusion affects our focus. Number two, confusion brings fear. Have you ever watched a movie or noticed people, because we watch as we grow and we age, that seniors deal a lot with confusion. Sometimes there's dementia, Alzheimer's, other things set in. But the thing that we find most common in that, when they're confused, they become fearful because it's like, where am I at? What am I doing? Where am I going? That's that being in the dark. I'm unsure. And so it brings fear. So this is why we have to pay attention to confusion. Confusion also brings frustration. When you are confused, girl, ain't nothing okay, because I'm still single. Y'all see, no rings, no rings. That's my thing. And so it's nothing worse than being in any type of relationship. I'm not even going to just say for single, whether you single, married, business, and you don't have clear understanding on where the course of the relationship is heading. Come on. It's like, okay, hold on. What you got me out here doing? Where are we going with this? And so it can
a whole nother topic in itself, girl. We got to come back.
I know that's a good one to come back to. So it can bring frustration. Number four, forgetfulness. When we're confused, we just tend to forget. I don't know. And it's so funny how much we use I don't know. I had to tell my children, stop using I don't know, and just take a minute and say, can you give me a moment so I can see, or so I can understand, or so I can think about that? Don't be so quick to admit defeat and admit confusion voluntarily. And I'm talking about in the sense of when you being lazy, because sometimes kids just don't want to do it. They just being lazy,
right.
But try and work at it. Number five, forcefulness. It forces us, when you are confused, sometimes it forces people into desperate acts. You become forceful because you're confused. So you're like, okay, well, I need clarity, and clarity with the extreme spirit, So now you're trying to force some things to happen. So, you could be clear, but we can't for everything that we, force ain't don't fit. So that's fatal. Number six is fatigue. We get tired. When you don't have understanding and you are not clear, you become tired. It's like, okay, when am I going to be able to know where I'm going? And I know this because I've experienced this in my own life. I've gone through moments where I felt so confused about where I was going and what I should do. And it just left me in a place where I didn't do anything. I was so tired. I don't want to do, because it's like, I don't know what to do. So I'm not going to do nothing. I'm tired, which leads me to the next point. We become frozen, like we just stuck. When you're confused, you're just stuck. And so and so we Christians, we love the Lord. God has gifted us to do so many things, and so now I'm just frozen because I'm confused, instead of doing what is necessary to get clarity, so I can control the spirit of confusion, tell it back and keep on the course and continue to pursue my purpose and my destiny. And so confusion really cripples us. It really cripples us, and we don't recognize that. The last thing that I want to share is that confusion brings failure. It brings a spirit of like, okay, well, since I don't know, it don't matter if it don't work out. No, it matters. It matters. We need to be intentional. Yes, we may not know, but that's what research is for. Yes, we may not know, but that's what coaches are for. I didn't know everything about my business, but find somebody that knows the business. We didn't know necessarily what we was going to do when we started this podcast, but look at some other podcasts. Don't just accept failure. So I wanted to point these out because, it is so extreme. Yeah. But how we look at it in such a minute view of how confusion affects us, because we just like, oh no, it's just a little dark in there. I can see in the dark, damaging your eyesight and on your way to being blind, but I can see in the dark, because this is how confusion is affecting you. So having said all that, because I know that was a lot, but that had really got to me. How do we, cancel confusion? Because that's what this is all about. We didn't talk about it, but we need clarity. Okay, that's what the cups and the coffee and the conversation is for. How do we cancel confusion and gain clarity, Terra? Girl, you didn't have to take a sip.
Girl, I had to get a little bit of tea on this because Kesha, when I tell you the point that you made, and I just want to reiterate that being in the dark can cause me to go blind. What is blindness? It's loss of vision. Okay, girl, when you said that, I almost came unglued. It's loss of vision. When we are confusion is like being in the dark.
Yeah.
And so when we are confused, we tend to lose our vision. We tend to lose, and then you begin to talk about focus. I mean, and then I just started thinking, you know, as it relates to your vision for your life, for your business, whatever it is, if you're confused, that is the point. It's for you to lose your vision. Okay. Y'all, listen, when you think about that, you know, I mean, it really just takes it to a whole nother level. Those were some really great points. I mean, you lose your focus. It causes you to lose your focus, fear, frustration, forgetfulness, forcefulness, fatigue. You know, the reason why you so tired when you confused. You know what? Because you're just working and working and working, and you're in the dark and you're getting nowhere. If the light would come on, you'll see I'm still in the same place. I'm just walking around in a circle. You know, in that constant loop, that cycle that I was talking about earlier. You're frozen, procrastination. You know, we procrastinate. So how can we get out of that? How can we cancel all of these things and failure? You know, I believe that the only failure is if you decide that you're going to quit. You know, but because of all these things, when you get so tired from fighting a battle that you feel like you can't get out of, then a lot of times you want to give up and you want to quit. And so as I was sharing with you earlier, with the PPP, your past, your perception of who you are, your practical knowledge, as Kesha was talking about the 7 F's of what confusion can cause you to lose or you to be forced into almost, we have to begin to recognize the false narratives that's holding us back. And we have to begin to acknowledge our accomplishments. We have to begin to take the time to really care for our vision. You know, my children like to work on their laptops or their tablets or be on their phones in the dark. And I'm constantly saying, no, you got to turn the light on, because what that is doing is it's causing your vision. You may not notice it right now, but a few years down the road, it's going to cause some damage to your vision. And right now, some people may be in a place where they've been confused for so long about who am I? What am I supposed to do? You've been trying to work this thing out on your own. You know, sometimes my children they may be laying in the bed. I have to go and flip the light on for them. Sometimes you have to find you a person, a coach, a mentor, somebody who can flip the light on, because they know, baby, listen, I know how it is. You know, you think it's more comfortable, but when you get older, honey, and you got to turn the light on just so you can see, you're going to realize how important having the light on is. You know, you got to focus on what's within your control. You know, so many times we are focusing on what's out of our control. And when you focus on the things that's out of your realm of control, again, you put yourself back in that cycle. But when I decide that, hey, listen, I can control this. I don't have to be fearful. I don't have to be afraid to start the business because I don't know what I need. Because how can I curve that? I can start attending some workshops. I can go find me a coach. I can go find me a mentor, someone else who has gone some steps before me. Make sure, you know, and you have to do the proper, investigation, so to speak,
and research
research to make sure that you're getting the right person, because you don't want to get out here and get someone who, you remember I talked about that illusion that we can present. You know, there's some people who are creating illusions, but when you find someone who has proven themselves in a particular area that you're trying to go glean from that knowledge. That's within your control. You can control not knowing enough. How do you do that? Study to know more.
Learn more.
Educate yourself outside of if there's other areas that we need to find and get expertise on, we can educate. There's so much information out here.
There is.
One of the things that I share with the students that are in Writers Unblock Academy, first of all, you got to know where you are going.
Yeah.
So how can I cancel out confusion? Know my why. Why am I doing why am I doing this? Why do I have this desire, this passion to do whatever it is that I'm doing? Because if I can ever locate my why, then anytime my why serves as my compass.
Yes, it does.
It's almost like your north. If I can ever determine what north is, I can find my way back to where I need to be. Right. And actively work towards your goals to align them with your values. And if we do those simple things, we can move towards finding greater clarity in our purpose. Now, Kesha, I know sometimes we talk about confusion and clarity, and it's almost like this is an abstract thing. I like to always bring it home and just be real about where you are. Do you know of a time where maybe you have been confused? Maybe you didn't have clarity. Well, tell me about a time you've been confused and how you got to clarity.
Okay, because girl, that was a whole. I was like, where do I start?
Look, just one example.
Let me give one example, okay, for the sake of the podcast.
Yes.
One example. I remember I was at a point, getting ready to turn another year. We celebrate age with grace, but getting ready to turn another year. And when you hit those big numbers, there's always this pressure, like, okay, what do I do next? Where am I going? You do this evaluation. Have I reached the, what they call the American dream by now, or, done these things? And so I felt so much weight and so much pressure on me. And I was just confused. And I was like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And so because, I value my faith, that's really important to me. I first had to go for clarity and prayer. God, I need you to reveal to me. I need you to help me. And for those of you who are believers, I encourage you to pray, because the Bible lets us know that there is nothing that cannot come through prayer and fasting. And so it's so good to do that. And so as I did that, I was prompted to really write out a vision. The scripture says in Habakkuk 2:2-4, write the vision, make it plain, and run with it. So when you have a vision or a map in front of you, it's easy to follow. And so how I gained clarity from that confused time is that's when I began to start doing vision boards. And I began to just write it out so then I could visually see. And I go into a whole, breakdown of what vision is in different classes and stuff. But it led me to really see the importance of vision. And earlier this month in January, we did a clear vision workshop where we talked about the importance of being clear. And one of the biggest ways you become clear is by being able to visualize where you're going and what you see. Again, the dark, the light, the dark, being able to see. And so bringing out the vision board helped me to be able to visualize. And so anytime life throws its jabs and, twists and turns, I can go back to, this is my vision. This is what I'm believing for. This is where I'm going. And so it doesn't feel as difficult as it used to in the past when I didn't have that vision and I didn't have that clarity. And so that's what it was for me. The last thing I want to say about it is it led me to bring, and it's going to be releasing, this beginning in February. So you guys will get excited about that. It's called TELL, and that is the Entrepreneurs Learning Lab. And we'll be having that come out where you can join and become a part of those classes where you can get clarity and you can find, what your vision is for your business and connect with coaches. And another thing, because she won't say it, I'm gonna say it, okay? Terra and myself, we are certified coaches, and we have no problem with helping you to understand that clarity and gain the understanding you need in your business or in life. So our website addresses, you see are on the screen. And so don't hesitate to reach out to us in that aspect. But the vision board was really what helped me in that situation. What about you, Terra? How did you get through it?
Listen, there have been so many times that I've been uncertain. I remember a few years ago, my life seemed like it was just filled with nothing but confusion. You know, I really felt like it was just chaos all around, and I was second guessing myself, everything that I was doing. I was so easily to get discouraged, feeling like I didn't belong. Like everywhere that I would go, I just felt like I just really found myself in a pit. And I had glimmers of, you know, and I had vision of who I was or who I am, but I had lost sight of it on my way, you know. And that's why I say it's so important to know your why. Why are you doing this? And, you know, because I had let myself become defined by my job. I was what I was doing in my career, the groups that I was in, the social circles that I was in, rather than really accepting who I truly was on the inside without all of that, without who am I, not what I do.
Yeah.
You know, and back then I thought it was just, you know, if I could land the perfect job, you know, my dream job. I got a job, I was making 6 figures, doing well, and still was unfulfilled. You know, I was like, hey, maybe if I get on a big, you know, get a big deal, have a major platform by, you know, from someone else that other people think that is so important, then maybe then, you know. And I've had the privilege of being on stage with people, well-known people, having like close connections with people who have major platforms. And I still was left unfulfilled. Even, you know, I felt like, well, if I could get a promotion, if I could get, you know, if I could get this, if I could get that, it was always something, but there was always this wall that I couldn't penetrate that kept me from finding that real peace of mind. And, you know, thankfully, I've since come to realize that my real joy, it can't necessarily be found in a service or occupation, but it's found within myself, within knowing who I truly am, who God has created me to be. Like you said, Kesha, before that, you know, as a believer, you know, it's really going back and knowing who God has created me to be. It's not just something, you know, it's not just the words that I hear in my head. It's not what other people are telling me. It's not what looks good on the resume. It's not that illusion that I create on social media, but it's the place where I can find real peace, is knowing who God created me to be from the foundation of the world. Before I was even in my mother's womb, He created me. And it was when I tuned out the noise. I wrote a book called Finding Your Voice Inside of the Noise. And I'm writing another book that's talking about tuning out the noise, because you have to tune out what everybody else is telling you what you are called to do. And when God has created you, sometimes you're looking for somebody else to be the blueprint when, baby, you are the blueprint. I've had many coaches and mentors to tell me, you know, the reason why, and well, I take that back. I won't say many. I've had a couple of my coaches and mentors who've been able to tell me, you're looking for someone to be the blueprint for you when you are the blueprint. And when I changed my perspective, you remember I talked about that PPP. See, I had to forget about the past. I had to forget about who people said I was, who I was actually in the past. I had to forget about the perception that I had of who I was. I had to get the practical knowledge that was necessary. I had to invest in the courses. I had to invest in the workshops. I had to invest in coaches and mentors so that I could build my knowledge. Some of the investments were not so great, but remember, I told you, failure is not, it's not a failure. It was a lesson learned of what not to do. That's why I can help my clients when I tell them, no, honey, do your research first. If this is not a good fit for you, it doesn't make that person a bad person. It just means it's not a good fit for you, because where you're going, they may not have even been there. And how can a coach show you where to go if they haven't been there?
Come on.
So I had to learn that for myself. I had to tune out that noise, and I had to really get in a quiet place. And I like what you said about that vision, writing it down and making it plain, because sometimes when we have it in our head, it is just a thought. It's like a cloud of thoughts. You know how the clouds look all fluffy and they're just light, and it's just like, but when you get it on that paper, it gives you something solid to follow. And so that's how I found my clarity, going back to my original purpose of who I was, going back to the creator to ask him, why did you create me? And then being okay that it may not look like what everybody else is telling me it should look like for my life.
Yeah. That's good.
You have to know that for yourself. You got to tune out the noise. Yeah. And so, Kesha, I mean, I could go on and on, because when you've been confused, when you have been in the dark for so long, you get in the light and you be like, know that I was, it's like putting on some clothes in the dark. Maybe, you wear like a black something or whatever, and you doing your hair and stuff. You didn't realize that you had dry step or dandruff that was coming out on your head, and you in the dark, so you can't see it. But when you get in the light, child, I didn't know I was so. So yes, and that's why my heart's desire is really to help other people find the clarity for their life, and to really take a look at yourself. Look, I'm not trying to be anyone else. I've finally settled into the fact that I am who I am. I might fit in your circle, I might not, but that's okay.
And I'm still a good thing.
Because I was created with a purpose. And just because it doesn't fit in your box doesn't mean that it don't fit where it's supposed to. And I am for some people. I'm not for everybody. And I'm okay if I'm not for you. And I don't have to say that with a negative attitude. I don't have to say that I want everybody to win. Yes. I want to see everybody successful. But if we are on the opposite end of the spectrum, then guess what? I'm going to root for you now if you're doing the right thing, because if you're doing the right thing, I'm going to root for you. I want you to win. It may be different than me. I don't believe that everybody is a hater. I don't believe that everybody who don't support you are just unsupportive people. No, they just may not be your people.
And that's true.
And sometimes you get confused because you feel like, well, they supposed to support me. No, honey, y'all going two different directions. That's like, I'm on the Gulf Coast, you on the West Coast. If somebody's trying to get to California, they may need to follow you. But now if they want to go to Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, come on over here. I could show you how to go because I'm familiar with
the territory.
So
I'm so glad you shared that. One of the last things that I want us to just recap on, because our goal was really to make sure people got clarity, right? And to come out of the confusion. And sometimes we just don't look at the daily things that we can do to gain clarity. So I just want to add a few of those points, like doing our best to manage our stress, getting enough sleep. That helps to minimize the confusion that we deal with, like practicing, taking time to just like meditate, whether you're meditating on the word of God or you're meditating on a good quote or a sound phrase that you heard that just really brings peace in your life is important. Doing what we can to have balance and to eat healthy and work out. And then when we really don't have clarity, it's as simple as, if we can't reach the light, asking for help, asking somebody, can you turn on the light? Do you have a flashlight? Do you have a source where I can get the clarity that I need? And that is how we really get from the confusion. You talked about staying from the past and the perspective. Oh my God, that's just, girl, I really know we're going to have kind of like a part 2 to this subject, but that was really good. And then like really understanding our why when you got into that. These are all ways that we want to share with you today so that you leave knowing the tools to get clarity. And if you still feel like you need more information and you need additional help, look, we have our website, ccc.org, and you look on the sites you see now. You can check out our Facebook group, all these different ways so that we can help you and point you in the right direction, because we're the type of people, if we don't know, we're going to point you to someone who knows to help you find it, because like she said, we want to see you win. This is not for personal gain. This is for us walking in our purpose to help those around us who are experiencing probably currently things that we've experienced and walked through in the past, and just wanting to shine the light and be a help. And so I just wanted to add those tips and, just advice out there to just, really let our listeners know there are things that you could do like right now, and they're not that hard.
Yeah. I mean, what you're doing now, those of you who are listening to this podcast, That's a way that you can find clarity. You can get out of confusion. Finding those communities that you can be a part of, that you don't have to change. You know, I'm not trying to make a replica of myself. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want I'm the people that I coach, I'm not coaching them to be another Terra.
Good.
You know, and so many times we live in a world, either we're trying to make clones of ourselves, or it's that crab, you know, bucket in the crab mentality, that I feel like I have to pull you down in order for me to be lifted up. But if I exalt you higher, if Kesha is exalting me, there's somebody else that's exalting her. Guess what? There's nobody is left behind. And I really believe that if we begin to, you know, have these type of conversations where we're just real, like everything hadn't been perfect. Starting my business was not always easy. You know, it's still at times it's not easy. But instead of trying to make it seem as if I'm on this level when I'm really just on that level, that's not how we really get true clarity. True clarity also comes from honesty. You got to be honest with yourself.
Right.
You got to be honest why you want to do what you want to do. If it's to make money, say it's to make money. Don't try to make it seem like I just love helping people and you really don't like people.
Say that.
You know, true honesty, because you can deal with honesty. It's the lies that we tell ourselves that makes it so hard, because there's a battle in our mind that causes us to be constantly going from here to there, from here to there.
Right.
So practical steps, like Kesha said, and just being like my daddy say, have your friend frank and honest with you.
Come on, girl, that's good. That is good, because so many people are not honest with themselves when they're confused. And sometimes we're not honest because we're embarrassed. We're ashamed. We feel like we should have arrived to this place. But one thing I want to point out, you and I have learned, we have been and talked to and sat in rooms with some names. And sometimes, let me say this, I'm sorry, but sometimes them names ain't got it together like you think they do. You know, it's just, and you have to be honest about that. And we found peace in learning to really, something you said earlier, acknowledge what you have done, because sometimes you do got the blueprint and you just ain't realize it because you won't take time to acknowledge what you have done in so many years. That I know that you have said and I have said, you know, that we slept on ourselves because of just really thinking that, you know, somebody else had it better. So when you're honest with yourself, you realize you have a lot more to offer. So thank you for saying that. And then the last thing it made me think about when you talked about honesty is you got to be willing to put in the work. Okay. Like when you said that, I know, girl, it's the mug. Like, and that's what the organization is about, putting in the work. If you're not willing to put in the work, you're not gonna see it. You could have a goal without a plan is just wishful thinking. Because if you don't put no, you know, activation, and you don't put no action to what you are trying to see, then nothing will happen. And so it's just so important to put in the work and put in the work to gain the clarity to move forward to do what you want to do. That's it. That's my final thought on it, girl.
Look, I got so many thoughts that are running through, but guess what? This is not our last time. We are going to be back next month. So we are coming strong this year. We have some phenomenal things that we are planning. I'm excited about it. I'm excited that we have some clarity about what we have been called to do, even as a collaborative. You know, and, you know, I do want to just say this one last thing. Sometimes you feel like when you're doing a collaboration, it's going to cause you to dim your light, or it's going to cause a shadow to be cast on you. And sometimes you're afraid to collaborate with other people, and you're afraid to have partnerships with other people because you want to be on top. You want to be the one that everyone's looking at. But if I can share anything with you, this is a time of collaboration. This is a time of partnership. There's so much that needs to be done that we cannot do it alone. And sometimes you're confused because maybe you don't have the skill set that the person who you're supposed to connect with has. So be open to those collaborations. Okay. Be open to new friendships. I know there's a thing talking about some no new friends. You know, friends. Get some.
That's a whole nother topic.
I know. So I'm not even gonna get into that. But I mean, Kesha, I'm so excited about where Coffee Conversations and Clarity. Look, it's so good.
I know.
You
got
can just say
Coffee, Clarity, and Conversations. What's going on? See, because wherever you drop it, I pick it back up. And this is a testament, because had we not taken the decision to just, just collaborate, and I will say this when she said collaborations, purposeful, intentional collaborations, because every collaboration ain't a good collaboration. But try the spirit, see the spirit, inspect the fruit, do your research, and
you got
you'll
to
know,
be going
because you'll be, girl, but that's important, because we have collaborated with others, but it worked for us and we knew it worked. I know so many stories. We knew it worked, and we seen that God's hand was upon it, and so he blessed us to go forth. And so I do want to point that out, because if it's not an effective collaboration, nothing will come from it.
Yes, you got to be going in the same direction.
You do.
You definitely have to be going in the same direction. And I am so excited, from coast to coast, from the West Coast to the Gulf Coast. Even though we are all around, we are going in the same direction. Our goal, our vision is the same. And so I want to say to every one of you who are tuning in from everywhere you're tuning in from, thank you so much. Be sure to go ahead and come back and invite someone else to join you. We are going to post our announcements in our group. We try to post our announcements on our personal pages as well.
Yes.
I'm Terra Quan Odom on Facebook and Instagram. And then from there, I have my other business pages, the Manifold Innovations, Writers Unblock on Instagram. Between the Notes with my husband. So you can find us everywhere. Kesha.
I'm sorry, I was just listening to business. Kesha Shari on Facebook, or Lakeisha Wells, Lakeisha Shari Wells, somewhere between there. Facebook, Instagram, KLLC Company, Kingdom Beauties and Business on Facebook, a lot of networking groups. So if you see the information that we have, posted on the screen, you'll find a way to connect with us. And again, we have any platform, so we make sure to connect them and even put them in the YouTube description, so that you can go back and look over and connect with us. And again, as Terra said, thank you for joining us for today's Coffee, Clarity, and Conversations. It was so good. Please share your comments. Please share how you felt, how this impacted you, because we love to hear that. And that's an encouragement to us. It's back in your hands, Terra.
Listen, I just want to tell you, just check out our website. That's www.cccwithknt.org, so that you can find out more about our services and products. We are coming up with a merch line, so y'all keep your eyes open for that. As part of our platform, we are also offering tag team coaching, where you can get the best of both worlds at one time. So you can visit our website. Again, that's www.cccwithknt.org. It's right there on your screen to book your discovery call today.
Yes. And as we said before, we'll say it again. If you haven't, don't forget to turn on those notifications, like, comment, and subscribe, so you can join the CCC community. And stay tuned to join us for our next conversation with your coffee or your tea, because definitely we will be ready to bring the clarity. See you guys next time.
Bye-bye.